Friends, now with 2 pubs in Corvallis, your Northwest Dodge dealer. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. Regents. We are all connected and 1,000 strong. Regents. Together, we can take charge.
The dairy farmers of Oregon say, check your fridge. Got milk?
Safety of all-wheel drive standard. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by research.
Stand by.
Got it made. Now, here's the voice of the Beavers, Mike Parker.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Beaver Sports Talk along the Beaver Sports Radio Network, Beaver Nation online subscribers, to everybody here at McMenamin's on Monroe across from the OSU campus. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be with you until 8 o'clock, and along the way with our guests, if you'd like to join us, the Dutch Bros Sports Line is at your disposal. Toll free, 877-600-6433. 877-600-6433. As always, a very busy show every Tuesday night here at McMenamin's on Monroe, 7:05 to 8 o'clock on the Beaver Sports Network. We'll be joined momentarily by OSU women's basketball coach LaVonda Wagner, whose team is Pac-10 tournament bound, coming off one of the more inspiring victories of this or any season in the Pac-10 regular season finale. We'll talk to Coach Wagner about that. Later in the show, Jeff Reinert, OSU men's assistant basketball coach, will join us to talk about the Beavers weekend and the split against the Washington Schools, the impending Civil War in Eugene Saturday, and the men's Pac-10 tournament next week in Los Angeles. And as always, a very special guest tonight, this week's everyday champion, Dania Ramore from the OSU cross-country team. You'll really enjoy meeting her, and we'll visit with her about a trip she has planned to New Zealand to study in her major in environmental management. Dania Ramore from the OSU cross-country team, this week's everyday champion, will join us later in the program. So it's a busy show. We'll get started with it with Coach Wagner after a quick timeout. Thanks for joining us on Beaver Sports Talk along the Beaver Sports Radio Network.
You'll find a surprise around every quarter.
Welcome back to Beaver Sports Talk along the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Great to have you with us tonight. And please welcome to the show, as always, every Tuesday night, OSU women's head basketball coach, LaVonda Wagner, to Beaver Sports Talk. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening.
Great to see you, and a great crowd in here tonight. Obviously, a lot of fans. And before we even start talking about the inspiring come-from-behind win over Washington State, a lot of folks saw it, listened, saw a combination thereof. But you were just telling me that a lot of members of the rebounders, you arrived back to Gill Coliseum at 12:30 in the morning, early Sunday, and there they were.
And we had a group of our boosters that met the bus, the rebounders. There's 13 of them, and it was just fabulous. And it was our board members, and well, we were very impressed by that, and the team just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and certainly they were inspired by all the fans who watched, listened. For those that saw the game in person, what a tremendous testament to the will of your team. To be down 17 and down 16 with about 14 minutes to go, actually 17 with 14, and then you went on a 9-minute stretch where you from 16 down to take the lead in a 9-minute stretch. What a great come-from-behind victory.
It really was, and it shows the character of our team. And we talked about at the half when we were down by 12 that we needed to get it under double digits. You know, we needed to cut into that pretty quickly. And I looked up, and we're down by 17. And I thought, this is not what we talked about or what we planned. And we just stayed after it and really, you know, our defensive intensity stepped up, and we were able to rebound the ball. But we took care of the basketball. We had 6 total turnovers, and that was big for us.
A great victory over Washington State, 66-61. The Beavers, in the last 14 minutes and 21 seconds, outscored the Cougars 37-15. So that's a great stretch of ball, and you had to keep getting stops. Just as you could see it unfolding, Coach, could you kind of see it coming, that we can do this, and you saw it in their eyes?
You know, this is a team that I never really counted us out because of what we did at Mac Court against Oregon. We were down by 20, and that was a game that we fought all the way back and ended up winning that game in overtime. And that's a very hard place to play, as you well know. And so, you know, I kept thinking that if we could just score and get stops, and particularly get to the free throw line, that was a big key for me, because then we could score with the clock off and then have the ability to do some things. And we did get to the free throw line in the second half, and, you know, we didn't shoot the ball as well as I'd like to from the free throw line, but we actually got some good looks. And, you know, Mercedes did a fantastic job of taking care of the basketball. And that was a huge key, because on Thursday night we turned the ball over.
There are a lot of individual plaudits, and we'll talk about you end up with 3 players who lead the conference in important statistical categories, and we'll get to those players in a moment. But somebody that impressed me just watching those final few minutes, and we'll get to Casey and Mercedes and the great, you know, leaders and players in this team. But I thought Julie Futch's play, the layup to give you a lead, the clutch free throws that she hit to help you put the thing away. I mean, it was a big game for Julie, it seems.
A very big game. She's been playing very solid for us as of late, and she's averaging about 30 minutes of playing time. And I'm just really impressed with her progression. She's feeling much more confident and comfortable on the floor. And, you know, her ability to rebound the basketball is really what's allowed us to play her these many minutes. And now she's stepping up, and she's hitting some shots, and she's getting some stops. So her total package is unfolding for us, and it's big.
If you have any questions or comments for Coach Wagner along the way tonight as the Beavers get ready Friday night for the Pac-10 tournament, which we'll also talk about tonight down in San Jose, the State Farm Pac-10 women's basketball tournament from HP Pavilion. Toll free, the number 877-600-6433. 877-600-6433. Feel free to give us a call and share your thoughts with the coach. To make a comeback like that, you have to take care of the ball. You have to make enough shots, but you have to mix in a lot of stops too. And I wondered, from the first half to the second, you were telling me before the show tonight that your defense in the first half, when it came to Amanda DeRocher, was actually okay.
You know, it was. We were very good defensively. We worked on closing out. Prior to this weekend, we were number 1 in the conference in three-point field goal defense. So that's something that we take pride in, that we work on. And we knew we had to crowd them on the perimeter and make them put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. And we did. We were in their chest, and they still were able to knock down shots. And 8 for 9, 88% in the first half from the three-point line. And I just kept saying to myself, this can't continue.
And it didn't.
It didn't. Thank goodness.
Now, Amanda DeRocher, who hit her first 5, was only 1 for 7 in the second half. Did you see some things happen? I mean, were you quicker on the catch, or did the shots just not go in the second half?
We really got up into her and we played her feet. And that was the one thing I kept saying is, you got to make sure that you get her feet and don't let her get her feet set, because she doesn't need a lot of room and a lot of time to get it off. And so we really attacked her feet, and she wasn't able to get set. And when she shot it, she was off balance. And unfortunately for us, we were able to get some rebounds, and that helped. And then, they hit 2 in the second half, but that was 16%, a far cry from the 8 from 9 in the first half.
Casey Nash ends up breaking. She'd had 27 points, I think 4 or 5 different times. Ends up with the career high 28. We'll talk about Casey in a moment. And the great seasons individually, not only for Casey, but Mercedes Fox-Griffin and Judy Lomax leading the Pac-10 in key statistical categories. So if you have any questions or comments along the way for the coach as her team heads to San Jose, leaving tomorrow for Friday night's game against Arizona in the rubber game of this year's series, feel free to give us a call. We'll take a quick break. Toll free, 877-600-6433. Beaver Sports Talk from McMenamins on Monroe on the Beaver Sports Radio Network.
Okay, it's time for another giveaway. By the way, thanks for coming out to the show tonight. We have a T-shirt, a really cool-looking orange T-shirt with black lettering on it. I'm sure it says Oregon State on it. Ticket number 2771, 2771. And we have a winner right over here. Thanks for playing. Tip your waitress.
Welcome back to Beaver Sports Talk along the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Thanks to all of you for joining us on Beaver Nation Online. And Friday night, be sure to tune in on many of our network stations as the OSU women's basketball team, approximately 8:15. And we say that because there's a game that goes on just ahead of the Beavers in Arizona at the State Farm Pac-10 Women's Basketball Tournament at HP Pavilion in San Jose. And to me, it's just exciting to say that the Beavers go into this tournament as the 8th seed in the conference when, before the year started, Coach, you were picked to finish last. You finish 8th, exceed expectations with a very young team, depth challenge. I don't know what your thoughts are about Arizona. We'll get to that in a moment. But to go in as the 8th seed is an accomplishment in its own right.
You know, I guess it is. I mean, we didn't finish last. The second year in a row, we were picked to finish last. And in my mind, there's a few more wins in there that we had, very close games that we let slip away, and we could have finished higher than 8th. But this is a team that one player in that 9-player rotation saw the floor last year. 5 freshmen, 1 transfer, and 1 senior who's obviously been through a lot with Ebony Young and her injuries, and then Mercedes Fox-Griffin, who's a sophomore, who got very, very limited time last year. It's almost amazing when you sit back and you think about the journey that this team has taken and the progress that they've made, and the record doesn't indicate how much they've improved. And certainly, you know, I'm always happy but never satisfied, but it is absolutely amazing.
Casey Nash, the one player who did see the floor a lot last year, emerged in her senior year, and Casey Nash leads the Pac-10 conference in scoring this year at the end of the regular season, 20.3 points per game. Just a tremendous year for Casey.
Give her a hand.
The leader in the Pac-10 in assists per game, essentially a freshman just based on the lack of experience from a year ago. Mercedes Fox-Griffin leads the Pac-10 in assists per game at 6.44, and your field goal percentage leader in the Pac-10 conference, freshman Judy Lomax, a 667 field goal percentage. Tremendous years for all 3 of those.
It has been, and they all had to really step up and accept their role in order for us to be successful. And because of what these young women have done, every game that we've played in, we've had opportunity to be successful and to close those out with W's. And that's what I think a team is. It's a total effort, a great effort by each individual, and everything is done for the good of the team. And they certainly have done that. Friday
night, it's Arizona in the rubber game. Both games close and competitive. You win here, you lose a tough one by 4 in Tucson. So this is kind of now to see, okay, who's going to win this season series. What are your thoughts about this matchup with Arizona?
You know, they're a very tough basketball team. They've had some injuries early, and they're now better. They've healed. They've gotten everybody back. They're stronger. They play very aggressive basketball, transition. They love to run. They love to get those easy baskets. Their transition game is phenomenal. They have an outstanding player in Joy Hollingsworth who's able to get to the rim off the dribble, who can shoot a very deep three-point shot. So it'll be interesting for us because we have to be able to guard them off the dribble. We have to handle their pressure and be composed with that and execute our plays and really defensively get some stops. And so for us, this is a matter of, you know, being able to play through some nagging injuries, being able to step up on a neutral floor and compete with a very good basketball team.
You talk about handling their pressure, and you were telling us last week that in terms of looking back to the Washington and Washington State games from 2 months ago, how far you'd come in that time. And while it's been a while since you played Arizona, you feel like, are you better equipped to handle their pressure now than maybe you were in the game in Tucson even just a few weeks later now?
You know, I think so. I definitely think so. Mercedes Fox-Griffin plays 40 minutes a game, and she's just been amazing. I mean, she is a true freshman, and for her to be able to come out and compete the way she has been has really helped, and she has to be able to have the basketball in her hands. Casey Nash, we run her off a gazillion screens to get her open, and to be so unselfish. Screening a teammate open is one of the most unselfish acts that you can do on the basketball court, and everybody on the team does that. And what people don't realize, and this is what I told people this weekend, is that every one of our opponents, 1 through 5, switch out and guard her in every possession. Every one of them have to guard her and try to stop her, and she's still been able to put numbers up.
And in that regard, too, with Casey getting that 28, she needed every bit of them, you know, for you to get over the hump against Washington State. But 28 points for Casey Nash for the career high, ends up with just a tremendous career. Mercedes Fox-Griffin, we talked about her leading the conference in assists. She had an Oregon State record equaling performance the first time you played Arizona with 15 assists. Tell us about her game that night. I mean, what was really working for her?
Well, you know, we shared the basketball. We made the extra pass, and we were making our layups. And I think Mercedes had 8 assists this weekend against Washington State, and Judy Lomax missed some layups, or she probably would have had a double-double for us. And she's just doing a very good job of distributing the basketball and making those people around her better. And she has to continue to do that in order for us to be successful. And she will. And she's gotten they all have gotten some tremendous game experience this year. It hasn't been been easy for them. But, as we come into our third season, which is our postseason, the conference tournament, I think that these young women have totally grown into Pac-10 basketball players.
The conference tournament getting underway Friday night, HP Pavilion in San Jose. You've been in a lot of tournaments as a player and a coach for the years. Do you like tournaments? Do you like the day by day and the building? You win one, you keep going. How do you like that whole dynamic?
I love it. It's do or die, and this is the time of year that most people live for, and this is our time, this tournament, because for us, there's not going to be a postseason tournament unless we do well here. And I think for these young women, that most of them have not experienced a Pac-10 tournament, so it'll be fun for them and the opportunity for them to get to experience that way and to grow. And your back's against the wall, and you just got to play.
Do they do a nice job, Coach? I know last year was your first experience with it. Is it a good experience there at HP Pavilion in terms of just the type of experience they offer to the student athletes there?
Absolutely. Everything that the Pac-10 does is for the student athletes. And, they show them a good time to have a banquet and, all those sorts of things. And I think this is a great time for these young women to get to know each other outside of the competitive fires of the game and talk to each other and see what each other is experiencing.
We are excited to follow it this Friday night, 8:15 on Beaver Nation Online, the Beaver Sports Radio Network. The Beavers in Arizona, and then just stay tuned thereafter for more basketball, we believe, coming up as the weekend goes along in San Jose, California. Coach, great job on the regular
Thank
season.
you.
Good luck in postseason now in the Pac-10 tournament. Let's hear it for LaVonda Wagner, OSU women's basketball coach, joining us. Coach Reinert from the OSU men's basketball team. Coming up next, Dania Ramore, this week's everyday champion, will also be joining us shortly. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Beaver Sports Radio Network.
You'll find a surprise.